In this video, we're going to go over the top 5 reasons why the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE is a better choice than the Apple iPhone 12. So let's get started. Now I do want to let you know that if you are looking for the latest trade-in deals to really get a good deal on the S20 FE, then take a look at the link in the video description, as I have linked over to Samsung's website. I don't know what the current promotions are, but I do know that if you have an older Android phone and you do want to upgrade to a phone like the S20 FE, then you can save quite a bit of money by trading in your older Android device. So you might at least want to take a look and see what they're offering at the moment. Now the first thing that makes the S20 FE better than the iPhone 12 is that we're getting twice the amount of internal storage, despite this device being cheaper than the iPhone 12 itself. So the FE features an MSRP of $699, but also with that, we're getting 128 gigabytes of internal storage. Now with the iPhone 12, it features an MSRP of $799, but we're getting 64 gigabytes of internal storage. So half the amount of internal storage. And to make matters worse, the S20 FE features microSD card expansion, which is something that we don't even get with the iPhone 12. Now the reality is that apps are getting bigger and bigger, especially compared to just a couple of years ago. So Samsung's been doing a good job at serving their customers by continuing to give us more internal storage, because it's definitely something that's needed. Whereas with the iPhone, and especially the iPhone 12, they've continued to give us just 64 gigs of internal storage for the base model. And I feel like for many people out there, assuming that you use at least a decent amount of apps, it's going to be very easy to fill up all of that space. Especially if you're downloading movies, for example, whether you're buying a movie from iTunes or you're saving videos offline from services like Netflix so that you can watch them on the airplane. Whatever you're doing, 64 gigs just isn't enough. Moving on to the second reason why the Galaxy S20 FE is a better choice than the iPhone 11. And that's because of the battery capacity. Now Samsung continues to give us bigger and bigger batteries. With the S20 FE, the phone does have a 4,500 milliamp hour internal battery. With the S20 FE, the phone has a 4,500 milliamp hour internal battery. And we're getting 25 watt fast charging to make it charge up really quickly. But Apple, on the other hand, with the iPhone 12, actually gave us a smaller battery compared to the iPhone 11. The battery with the iPhone 12 is a whopping 2,815 milliamp hours. That is significantly smaller than the battery that we're getting here with the S20 FE. Now the iPhone 12 does support fast charging as well, but it is limited at 20 watts. Now 20 watts compared to 25 watts isn't too big of a difference, but it is at least a little bit of a difference. So the point is that I wish they gave us a bigger battery here with the iPhone 12. The third thing that makes the S20 FE a better choice than the iPhone 12 is that we're getting a 120 Hz display. Whereas with the iPhone 12, I'll give them credit that at least they upgraded from an LCD display to OLED, but the display on here is 60 Hz. Now if you're curious what that means in real life, essentially, when you're using the Galaxy S20 FE, the display has a higher refresh rate that makes everything appear to be a lot smoother. So it gives you a more premium experience. So it's very surprising that Apple, which is supposed to be a premium company and a premium brand, still only gives us 60 Hz. I don't understand. And again, I'll give them credit, at least we finally have OLED instead of LCD, but come on, we need 120 Hz as well. The next benefit with the Galaxy S20 FE compared to the iPhone 12 is that with the FE, we're getting a very small hole punch for the front-facing camera. Whereas with the iPhone 12, look at that. Look at that notch. It is massive. We're getting a very large notch here with the phone, which was passable about 3 or 4 years ago. But really, at this point, they should make this much smaller. Now, I know that the notch does have to be kind of large due to the phone having Face ID, which is a better face unlock technology compared to the face unlock that we're getting here with the FE. But I personally don't feel like having this massive notch is worth it for Face ID. In fact, I don't even want Face ID. I really want to have a fingerprint sensor on the power button. Apple really should have done that anyway, so that we'd at least have the option between Face ID or a fingerprint sensor on the power button. But instead, they're just giving us a big notch and they're giving us Face ID with no fingerprint sensor. Whereas with the FE, we do have a fingerprint sensor and it's built into the display. Now for me personally, I don't even like having it built into the display quite as much. And again, I think the perfect location for the fingerprint sensor is on the power button. And the power button on this phone is already very massive anyway because it doubles as the Siri button. So why not just put a fingerprint sensor on there as well and call it a day? And the final thing that makes the S20 FE better than the iPhone 12 are the cameras. First thing is that the front-facing camera on the FE is 32 megapixels. You're going to be getting very crispy front-facing photos with the FE. And then flipping around to the rear cameras on both devices, we have a triple camera setup with the FE, whereas with the iPhone 12, we just have a dual camera setup. So with the FE, we're getting a 12 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, and an 8 megapixel telephoto camera with 3x optical zoom. And then with the iPhone 12, we're getting a 12 megapixel main camera and a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. Now I do appreciate that we're at least getting an ultra wide angle camera here with the iPhone 12, as that is something that we did also have with the iPhone 11. But if you do want to get an iPhone with a telephoto camera, then you have to get the iPhone 12 Pro. So here's how things look with the main cameras on both devices. Then from here, we can switch over to the ultra wide angle cameras on both phones. Another interesting thing too, when holding these two phones at the same distance from this plant and at pretty much the same location, it seems like the ultra wide angle camera with the S20 FE is also a bit wider, which I prefer. But then going over to the telephoto camera, this is where you can really see the limitations here with the iPhone 12 because we simply can't do that. You can zoom in with a natural 3x optical zoom with the S20 FE, but we simply just don't even have that here with the iPhone 12. But this concludes my video showing 5 reasons why the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE is better than the Apple iPhone 12.